Honorable Minister was speaking, what should Ugandans be celebrating? Is there anything to celebrate?
I invited Professor Ssemujju was a friend. I think when Observer had made 5 years. And he told me he doesn't believe in celebrating passage of time. Of course, later on, he called me to say, I'm sorry, maybe I should come. I think these celebrations are just about passage of time. You need to listen to Museveni read his speeches. He will tell you in some of those speeches, Uganda was at the same level of development with South Korea at the time of independence. Where is South Korea? Where is Uganda? More than 70% of our time as an independent country, Museveni has been in charge of this country. But you go back and look at his colleagues with whom he came here. Where are they? Read the EPDF Act. They have a schedule where he put the Historical High Command, the Army Council. All of them, he has pushed them away and installed himself as an emperor together with his wife and the son. We are under family rule. Baryomunsi works for that family. So that's why he's very happy. So the 40 years have helped him to become a worker. A worker. I am not paid by any family. Even Museveni, I told him, I am paid by taxpayers, including URA collects about 80 billion from Chira. They are the ones who appointed you a minister for national guidance, and I hope so. Yeah, so yes, in terms of passage of time, yes, we can commemorate passage of time. The areas that Chris points out, democracy, there is no democracy in Uganda. The fight goes on. Everything that this, because ask yourself, why did Museveni go to fight, eventually capturing power and keeping that power for 40 years? What were the main reasons? Was it growth? Was it classrooms? Were they health centers? The main reason he goes to the world to fight is because the elections had been rigged. He continues doing the same thing. These NRM mafias. Today I have had an election in the Chira municipality. The NRM person came number 3. He has been announced the winner. And not the only one. So Museveni, who went with his group to fight because the elections were rigged, he rigs the elections, the serial rigger, if that word exists. But he knows how to, he may not do it the way Obote did it. I have kept telling people here, one of the shocking things, Karamoja, with the 1.4 million people, has 26 MPs. And Wakiso, with 3.4 million people, has 9 MPs. So where NRM is dominant, he says Museveni won this election after spending how much money? So here, there is nothing to celebrate about 40 years apart from the passage of time. I see people also celebrating their birthdays even when they have nowhere to sleep, because the time will keep, and NRM likes passage of time. Even when they are telling me, Ssemujju, you are now, Museveni came when you are 12. When you are 12, now you are 52 years, you have everything to celebrate. So they like passage of time. But there is nothing tangible for the country. The specific issues for which this government came into power, they have abandoned them. I'm not even sure they still remember which direction and bearing, where they were going.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Ojara, you have been both at local government, but also your term in office. When you look at 40 years, now the biggest population is young people. Do we have anything to celebrate with this liberation, and what would that be?
Different people look at things differently, and that is nature. That is how we should. Unlike my brother, my senior brother, Ssemujju, I would say, first, it is not wrong to celebrate the 40 years. The question would be, why and what do you celebrate? And definitely, there are a lot of things to celebrate. But I also want to believe that the celebration creates an opportunity for reflection. Maybe you are looking at only the celebration, but what happens before the celebration and after the celebration? Do you find time to reflect on the journey you have taken?
Honorable Ssemujju, where is the disconnect between the idea of decentralization and the actual implementation of this? Where is it happening?
I'm not sure that is this or last financial year. The total budget for local government was about 6 trillion. But less than 500 was for development.
500 million, 500 billion?
500 billion. So you have 6 trillion budget for all the local government, but about 500 billion is the money for development, roads, etc. The rest of the money, as Dr. Apia has said, is salaries. So they just became centers for paying salaries. Because I went to Gulu, I went to many other districts with Dr. SJ when we were forming a party. I may not remember whether it is Gulu City or Gulu district. You have a budget. You have a budget of 23 billion, 19 billion salaries. The 2 other billion for vehicle, for fuel, for people who are running the district. What it means is nothing. That's why even when you want to do the infrastructure, you come back to Kampala under the Minister of Lands. You borrow money, you're the ones who will go to do roads in Arua, in Gulu, and then there is no money to maintain those roads because it's a one-off loan. One time we had a discussion, but let me begin. When I think the time of creating Ujiri district and Sembabule, that time we were full good to the discussion with the President Museveni. But later on, when we had, I'll come to that later. The demand of Ujiri at that time was a hospital. Because in all these districts that you are going to visit, the first thing when they create a district is to build a district headquarters, buy vehicles. I remember when Ruengo was carved out, because sometimes they don't follow any scientific study. They just happen. People in Masaka met President Museveni. That time they were creating a district. They quarreled. He said, okay, all of you become a district. Ruengo, Kalungu, Bukomansimbi, everything. Because they were quarreling where the new district should be. So after a meeting, he said, no problem, all of you, you can become a district. And they just germinated like that. Then immediately, Ruengo started coming to Kampala. You had Mutabaza as a chair, looking for people who were born there. Can you raise money to build? I said, me, Ssemujju, Nganda, investing money in building an office for you. At least if you are raising money to build a secondary school. In other countries where decentralization works, these blocks have real money to do work. They have developed some work and budgets. But here, you are only assigned the responsibility to pass over money to teachers and the health workers, and you almost have nothing to do in the district. And the point I think Chris made, the disconnect. One time you had a discussion in Parliament. I think the MPs had moved ahead to prescribe qualification for local government leaders. They may even have enacted a law and Museveni refused to assent to it. One time we went to Mbale. That time the mayor was FDC. Illiterate, not even the same illiterate, but illiterate. And he was implementing projects. I was on the committee. An illiterate person supervising graduates, because Chris says they should add them money for more political supervision. There is no supervision they can do. These are illiterate, some of them illiterate, as the word itself means. And they receive 5 billion for a municipality or for something. They have no. So what the technical people do is to buy them some fuel and make them happy, and then they do things the way they like. Because you can't have graduates even at a sub-county, and you have the supervisors with no qualification. If someone attends so many burials and is very popular, he becomes chairman of a sub-county whose duty is to supervise graduates. He doesn't know even. I've been conducting a campaign in my constituency. They elected a chairperson for a division. He was cheated by NRM. He went to the Tare Center. But when he was being cheated, they asked him, "Are you okay?" He said, "Everything is okay." Then he left. I said, "So you elected a person who can't write his name to be the division chairperson." So decentralization, from the very beginning, what were you decentralizing? I went to Bukoma Nsimbi, I think when it was starting. They were collecting less than 100 million. Less than 100 million. That was the total collection from the district as revenue. The rest of the money was supposed to come from Kampala. Because you must, as a district, you must also be enterprising. So there must be something that you are doing for yourselves. But they were just sitting in the office waiting for money to come here. And that's why Chris now says we need to add them money to do political supervision, then add RDCs. Today we have 700 RDCs, 700. Do you need more head teachers? Do you need more health workers or RDC? 700. Each district now has RDC, deputy RDC, an assistant RDC, an assistant. So they are all over. Because every NRM person, the other I saw an MP who had failed elections, and he said he wants to be appointed RDC. So they are all over corridors looking for those jobs. So I think, I'm not sure, but I have a feeling the president came here when I had, eventually became 39. They must have been less than 39 when he came here, the districts. Then 39, then 146. These days he doesn't even have money to, because we have Entebbe City, we have Wakiso, we have others. There isn't even money for them to start. Because the amount of money that you require to pay political leaders, buy them vehicles. If you look at the Uganda's budget, the other day I was telling someone, even made a presentation in Parliament, you have the 400,000 public civil servants, 400,000. You pay them about 8.5 trillion. And then you have another 4 trillion to buy them vehicles, attend workshop, fuel, what. When you, because this year we've started processing a budget, 40% of the budget is going to be paying debt. So what remains is shared by the 400,000 with their vehicles. And so there is absolutely nothing. So what exists in a district is a vehicle for the district chairman and a cow, an assistant cow, and an RDC and DPC. One time we went to a district after Katakwi. Is it Napak? The one after Katakwi. It was being constructed in almost a forest, far away from people. And I said, you guys, did they demand for it that it is constructed far away? I said, so who are you going to be serving? But because it is their district, the ones who asked for it, it doesn't matter whether it is nearer, because the slogan was, NRM like sloganeering, taking services nearer to the people. So which services are you taking? Let every MP or district chairperson tells you if they have money to maintain roads. I think the first cabinet retreat, these volumes is had in the last parliament, this parliament, the statistics they were sharing in that cabinet retreat, access community road, the ones that are in good condition, 13%, 11%. So do you need to decentralize? In fact, for me, I don't want to appear like I am speaking against a policy which is popular among my colleagues who are benefiting. Even the standards have gone down because the smaller money they throw at each local government. Look at this construction of classrooms. If you compare, I went to Masaka Secondary School. The classrooms constructed using the IDA facility are the same quality, same quantity of all the building materials from Masaka to Nabisunsa to Gayaza. So that's why those classrooms have stayed forever. These ones under Museveni, they begin falling after commissioning because the money is eaten by these political supervisors and their technical people. So the classrooms will collapse after commissioning. The ones constructed in each and every district. I remember one time I had a debate with Museveni and I was telling him, look at the Obote 40 hospitals and compare them with yours. He was very happy with the numbers that, okay, these are 40 for us, we have put everywhere. One time he said, no, even corruption is okay because now we have decentralized the money. It is democratic opposition and NRM, they are all stealing money. And he said it is okay. So these were, I cannot blame the policy itself because I've gone to other countries where local administrative units are doing some work and they have some power and they have money. In Uganda, the decentralization was for creation. You are the one reading the statistics of how many elective positions that we have. So these districts, others were being created in parliament. You have municipalities, I think the one of Ntungamo was added by Honorable Kataha when it was, so they brought a list. I remember Kadaga adding Kamuli and Bujiri said, where are municipalities for Busoga? You also add. No study, nothing. So they bring a list and it begins growing. It starts with 5. When they were creating municipalities, Museveni had said, in Kampala and Wakiso, especially Wakiso, you have rural and bit urban. So these rural ones make them separate constituencies, create municipalities. They started growing. They started, I think, about 6. They ended up being about 20, 40. And the appetite was there for everybody to add. So things in Uganda, even what ordinarily should be something good, it is spoiled by politics, it is spoiled by populism, because we ought to have piloted this decentralization, started in fewer units and then empower them and they do some work. But also what Professor Nsibambi called presidentialism. Even a classroom in Iguru, Museveni has to donate it, and then he commissions it, all the MPs are there. One time, sometime there was time they went to commission a small block of classrooms. But the amount of money they spent on their vehicles, the ministers and everybody, they spend more money going to commission than the money they had spent on the construction itself. Because these things are political, they just enjoy. So for me, one time I was actually advocating that we need to go back to what we used to do. If you want to construct classrooms in Uganda, just contract competent companies and they do the same classrooms in Iguru, in Wakiso, in Karamoja and everywhere.